The Commonwealth of Independent States is a regional organization formed during the breakup of the Soviet Union, whose participating countries are some former Soviet republics. The CIS is a loose association of states. Although the CIS has few supranational powers, it is aimed at being more than a purely symbolic organization, nominally possessing coordinating powers in the realm of trade, finance, lawmaking, and security. It has also promoted cooperation on cross-border crime prevention. Furthermore, 8 of the 9 CIS member states participate in the CIS Free Trade Area, and 5 of these form the Eurasian Economic Union, a customs union and single market of over 180 million people. In addition, 6 member states participate in a mutual defense alliance, the Collective Security Treaty Organization. History. The organization was founded on 8 December 1991 by the Republic of Belarus, the Russian Federation, and Ukraine, when the leaders of the 3 countries met in the Belovezhskaya Pushcha Natural Reserve, about 50 kilometers north of Brest in Belarus, and signed the agreement establishing the Commonwealth of Independent States, known as the Creation Agreement, on the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the creation of CIS as a successor entity to it. At the same time, they announced that the new alliance would be open to all republics of the former Soviet Union, and to other nations sharing the same goals. The CIS Charter stated that all the members were sovereign and independent nations and thereby effectively abolished the Soviet Union. On 21 December 1991, the leaders of 8 additional former Soviet republics, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, signed the Alma-Ata Protocol, which can either be interpreted as expanding the CIS to these states or the proper foundation or refoundation date of the CIS, thus bringing the number of participating countries to 11. Georgia joined 2 years later, in December 1993. At this point, 12 former Soviet republics participated in the CIS. Between 2003 and 2005, 3 CIS member states experienced a change of government in a series of color revolutions. Eduard Shevardnadze was overthrown in Georgia, Viktor Yushchenko was elected in Ukraine, and Askar Akayev was toppled in Kyrgyzstan. In February 2006, Georgia withdrew from the Council of Defense Ministers, with the statement that Georgia has taken a course to join NATO and it cannot be part of 2 military structures simultaneously. But it remained a full member of the CIS until August 2009, 1 year after officially withdrawing in the immediate aftermath of the Russo-Georgian War. In March 2007, Igor Ivanov, the secretary of the Russian Security Council, expressed his doubts concerning the usefulness of the CIS, emphasizing that the Eurasian Economic Community was becoming a more competent organization to unify the largest countries of the CIS. Following the withdrawal of Georgia, the presidents of Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan skipped the October 2009 meeting of the CIS, each having their own issues and disagreements with the Russian Federation. In May 2009, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine joined the Eastern Partnership, a project which was initiated by the European Union. Membership. There are 9 full member states of the Commonwealth of Independent States. The Creation Agreement remained the main constituent document of the CIS until January 1993, when the CIS Charter was adopted. The Charter formalized the concept of membership. A member country is defined as a country that ratifies the CIS Charter. Turkmenistan has not ratified the Charter and changed its CIS standing to associate member as of 26 August 2005 in order to be consistent with its UN recognized international neutrality status. Although Ukraine was one of the founding countries and ratified the creation agreement in December 1991, Ukraine chose not to ratify the CIS Charter as it disagrees with Russia being the only legal successor to the Soviet Union. Thus, it does not regard itself as a member of the CIS. In 1993, Ukraine became an associate member of CIS. On March 14, 2014, a bill was introduced to Ukraine's parliament to denounce their ratification of the 1991 agreement establishing the CIS. Following the Russian military intervention in Ukraine and annexation of Crimea, but was never approved. Following the 2014 parliamentary election, a new bill to denounce the CIS agreement was introduced. In September 2015, the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed Ukraine will continue taking part in CIS on a selective basis. Since that month, Ukraine has no representatives in the CIS Executive Committee building. In light of Russia's support for the independence of breakaway regions within Moldova, Georgia, and Ukraine, as well as its violation of the Istanbul Agreement, legislative initiatives to denounce the agreement on the creation of CIS were tabled in Moldova's parliament on 25 March 2014, though they were not approved. Member States, Associate States, former Member States leadership, Executive Secretaries, Human Rights. Since its inception, one of the primary goals of the CIS has been to provide a forum for discussing issues related to the social and economic development of the newly independent states. To achieve this goal, member states have agreed to promote and protect human rights. Initially, efforts to achieve this goal consisted merely of statements of goodwill, but on 26 May 1995, the CIS adopted a Commonwealth of Independent States Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. Even before the 1995 Human Rights Treaty, the Charter of the CIS that was adopted in 1991 created, in Article 33, a Human Rights Commission sitting in Minsk, Belarus. This was confirmed by decision of the Council of Heads of States of the CIS in 1993. In 1995, the CIS adopted a human rights treaty that includes civil and political as well as social and economic human rights. This treaty entered into force in 1998. The CIS treaty is modeled on the European Convention on Human Rights, but lacking the strong implementation mechanisms of the latter. In the CIS treaty, the Human Rights Commission has very vaguely defined authority. The Statute of the Human Rights Commission, however, also adopted by the CIS member states as a decision, gives the Commission the right to receive interstate as well as individual communications. CIS members, especially in Central Asia, continue to have among the world's poorest human rights records. Many activists point to the 2005 Andizhan massacre in Uzbekistan, or the cult of personality around President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov of Turkmenistan, to show that there has been almost no improvement in human rights since the collapse of the Soviet Union in Central Asia. The consolidation of power by President Vladimir Putin has resulted in a steady decline in the modest progress of previous years in Russia. The Commonwealth of Independent States continues to face serious challenges in meeting even basic international standards. Military structures. The CIS Charter establishes the Council of Ministers of Defense, which is vested with the task of coordinating military cooperation of the CIS member states. To this end, the Council develops conceptual approaches to the questions of military and defense policy of the CIS member states, develops proposals aimed to prevent armed conflicts on the territory of the member states or with their participation, gives expert opinions on draft treaties and agreements related to the questions of defense and military developments, issues related suggestions and proposals to the attention of the CIS Council of the Heads of State. Also important is the Council's work on approximation of the legal acts in the area of defense and military development. an important manifestation of integration processes in the area of military and defense collaboration of the CIS member states is the creation, in 1995, of the joint CIS air defense system. Over the years, the military personnel of the joint CIS air defense system grew twofold along the Western European border of the CIS, and by 1.5 times on its southern borders. When Boris Yeltsin became Russian defense minister on 7 May 1992, Yevgeny Shaposhnikov, the man appointed as commander-in-chief of the CIS armed forces, and his staff, were ejected from the modern General Staff buildings and given offices in the former Warsaw Pact headquarters at 41 Leningradsky Prospect on the northern outskirts of Moscow. Shaposhnikov resigned in June 1993. In December 1993, the CIS Armed Forces headquarters was abolished. Instead, the CIS Council of Defense Ministers created a CIS Military Cooperation Coordination Headquarters in Moscow. With 50% of the funding provided by Russia, General Viktor Samsonov was appointed as Chief of Staff. The headquarters has now moved to 101,003 halves, and 41 Leningradsky Prospect has now been taken over by another Russian mod agency. The chiefs of the CIS general staffs have spoken in favor of integrating their national armed forces, associated organizations, Free Trade Area 1994. In 1994, the CIS countries agreed to create a free trade area, but the agreements were never signed. The 1994 agreement would have covered all 12 then CIS members except Turkmenistan. 2011. In 2009, a new agreement was begun to create a FTA, the CIS FTA. In October 2011, the new free trade agreement was signed by 8 of the 11 CIS prime ministers: Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, and Ukraine at a meeting in St. Petersburg. As of 2013, it has been ratified by Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, Moldova, and Armenia, and is in force only between those states. The free trade agreement eliminates export and import duties on a number of goods but also contains a number of exemptions that will ultimately be phased out. An agreement was also signed on the basic principles of currency regulation and currency controls in the CIS at the same October 2011 meeting. Corruption and bureaucracy are serious problems for trade in CIS countries. It was named the EAEC on 10 October 2000 when Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan signed the treaty. Eurosec was formally created when the treaty was finally ratified by all 5 member states in May 2001. Armenia, Moldova, and Ukraine hold observer status. Eurosec is working on establishing a common energy market and exploring the more efficient use of water in Central Asia. Organization of Central Asian Cooperation. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan formed the OCAC in 1991 as Central Asian Commonwealth. The organization continued in 1994 as the Central Asian Economic Union, in which Tajikistan and Turkmenistan did not participate. In 1998 it became the Central Asian Economic Cooperation, which marked the return of Tajikistan. On 28 February 2002 it was renamed to its current name. Russia joined on 28 May 2004. On 7 October 2005 it was decided between the member states that Uzbekistan will join the Eurasian Economic Community and that the organizations will merge. The organizations joined on 25 January 2006. It is not clear what will happen to the status of current CACO observers that are not observers to Eurosec Common Economic Space after discussion about the creation of a common economic space between the Commonwealth of Independent States countries of Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. Agreement in principle about the creation of this space was announced after a meeting in the Moscow suburb of Novo-Ogarevo on the 23rd of February 2003. The Common Economic Space would involve a supranational commission on trade and tariffs that would be based in Kiev, would initially be headed by a representative of Kazakhstan, and would not be subordinate to the governments of the four nations. The ultimate goal would be a regional organization that would be open for other countries to join as well, and could eventually lead even to a single currency. On the 22nd of May 2003, the Verkhovna Rada voted 266 votes in favor and 51 against the joint economic space. However, most believe that Viktor Yushchenko's victory in the Ukrainian presidential election of 2004 was a significant blow against the project. Yushchenko has shown renewed interest in Ukrainian membership in the European Union, and such membership would be incompatible with the envisioned common economic space. Yushchenko's successor Viktor Yanukovych stated on the 27th of April 2010, Ukraine's entry into the customs union of Russia, Belarus and Kazakhstan is not possible today, since the economic principles and the laws of the WTO do not allow it. We develop our policy in accordance with WTO principles. Ukraine is a WTO member. A customs union of Belarus, Kazakhstan and Russia was thus created in 2010, with a single market envisioned for 2012. Collective Security Treaty Organization. The Collective Security Treaty Organization, or simply the Tashkent Treaty, first began as the CIS Collective Security Treaty, which was signed on 15 May 1992, by Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russian Federation, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, in the city of Tashkent. Azerbaijan signed the treaty on 24 September 1993, Georgia on 9 December 1993 and Belarus on 31 December 1993. The treaty came into effect on 20 April 1994. The CST was set to last for a 5-year period unless extended. On 2 April 1999, only 6 members of the CSTO signed a protocol renewing the treaty for another 5-year period, while Azerbaijan, Georgia and Uzbekistan refused to sign, and withdrew from the treaty instead, together with Moldova and Ukraine, formed an unaligned, more pro-Western group known as the Guam. The organization was named CSTO on 7 October 2002 in Tashkent. Nikolai Borgia was appointed Secretary-General of the new organization. During 2005, the CSTO partners conducted some common military exercises. In 2005, Uzbekistan withdrew from Guam, and on 23 June 2006, Uzbekistan became a full participant in the CSTO, and its membership was formally ratified by its parliament on 28 March 2008. The CSTO is an observer organization at the United Nations General Assembly. The Charter reaffirmed the desire of all participating states to abstain from the use or threat of force. Signatories would not be able to join other military alliances or other groups of states, while aggression against one signatory would be perceived as an aggression against all. To this end, the CSTO holds yearly military command exercises for the CSTO nations to have an opportunity to improve inter-organization cooperation. The largest-scale CSTO military exercise held to date were the Rubas 2008 exercises hosted in Armenia, where a combined total of 4,000 troops from all 7 constituent CSTO member countries conducted operative, strategic, and tactical training with an emphasis towards furthering efficiency of the collective security element of the CSTO partnership. In May 2007, the CSTO Secretary-General Nikolai Bordura suggested Iran could join the CSTO, saying, "The CSTO is an open organization. If Iran applies in accordance with our charter, we will consider the application. If Iran joined, it would be the first state outside the former Soviet Union to become a member of the organization." On 6 October 2007, CSTO members agreed to a major expansion of the organization, which would create a CSTO peacekeeping force that could deploy under a UN mandate or without one in its member states. The expansion would also allow all members to purchase Russian weapons at the same price as Russia. CSTO signed an agreement with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, in the Tajik capital Dushanbe, to broaden cooperation on issues such as security, crime, and drug trafficking. On 29 August 2008, Russia announced it would seek CSTO recognition of the independence of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, 3 days after Russia officially recognized both. On 5 September 2008, Armenia assumed the rotating CSTO presidency during a CSTO meeting in Moscow, Russia. In October 2009, Ukraine refused permission for the CIS Anti-Terrorist Center to hold anti-terrorist exercises on its territory because Ukraine's constitution bans foreign military units from operating on its territory. The largest military exercises ever held by the CSTO, involving up to 12,000 troops, were conducted between 19 and 27 September 2011 to raise preparedness and coordination in anti-destabilization techniques, to counter any attempts at popular uprisings like the Arab Spring. In December 1993. At this point, 12 former Soviet republics participated in the CIS. Between 2003 and 2005, 3 CIS member states experienced a change of government in a series of color revolutions. Eduard Shevardnadze was overthrown in Georgia, Viktor Yushchenko was elected in Ukraine, and Askar Akayev was toppled in Kyrgyzstan. In February 2006, Georgia withdrew from the Council of Defense Ministers. The Commonwealth of Independent States is a regional organization formed during the breakup of the Soviet Union, whose participating countries are some former Soviet republics. The CIS is a loose association of states. Although the CIS has few supranational powers, it is aimed at being more than a purely symbolic organization, nominally possessing coordinating powers in the realm of trade, finance, lawmaking, and security. It has also promoted cooperation on cross-border crime prevention. Furthermore, 8 of the 9 CIS member states participate in the CIS Free Trade Area, and 5 of these form the Eurasian Economic Union, a customs union and single market of over 180 million people. In addition, 6 member states participate in a mutual defense alliance, the Collective Security Treaty Organization. History. The organization was founded on 8 December 1991 by the Republic of Belarus, the Russian Federation, and Ukraine, when the leaders of the 3 countries met in the Belovezhskaya Pushcha Natural Reserve, about 50 kilometers north of Brest in Belarus, and signed the agreement establishing the Commonwealth of Independent States, known as the Creation Agreement, on the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the creation of CIS as a successor entity to it. At the same time, they announced that the new alliance would be open to all republics of the former Soviet Union, and to other nations sharing the same goals. The CIS Charter stated that all the members were sovereign and independent nations and thereby effectively abolished the Soviet Union. On 21 December 1991, the leaders of 8 additional former Soviet republics, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, signed the Alma-Ata Protocol, which can either be interpreted as expanding the CIS to these states or the proper foundation or re-foundation date of the CIS. thus bringing the number of participating countries to 11. Georgia joined 2 years later.